November 14th, 2021, 7 a.m., Cranbrook, Kent, England. Surveillance cameras at a quiet gas station capture 34-year-old Alexandra Morgan stepping out of her white Mini Cooper. She's dressed to impress, full makeup, hair perfectly styled, wearing a green quilted coat over ripped jeans and knee-high boots. She buys 10 pounds worth of fuel, orders coffee and a snack, and exchanges pleasantries with the manager, someone she's known for 17 years. Alex seems happy, relaxed. She has no idea this ordinary Sunday morning will be her last. Because waiting for her, just miles away, is a man with a secret. A man who has already taken a life once. A man who is about to do it again. What happens next is truly shocking. Alexandra Morgan, known as Alex, to everyone who loved her, was a single mother of 2 children, ages 4 and 11. Life hadn't been easy. Raising kids alone rarely is. She worked as a dog groomer, but it wasn't enough. Not for the life she wanted to give her children, not for the future she dreamed about. So Alex made a decision that her family and friends knew nothing about. She started working in the adult industry, advertising her services online, hoping to change her financial situation. On November 13th, the day before that gas station footage, Alex dropped her children off with her parents. She told them she was going on a spa weekend with friends. She'd be back in 3 days. Her parents believed her. Why wouldn't they? Alex was energetic, ambitious, always working towards something better. But Alex wasn't going to any spa. She was meeting someone, a regular client, someone she thought she could trust. She thought wrong. When November 17th arrived and Alex didn't pick up her children, her parents started to worry. She wasn't answering calls, wasn't responding to texts. This wasn't like her, not at all. After several frantic attempts to reach their daughter, they contacted Kent police. Detective work began immediately. Officers pulled the gas station footage, that last glimpse of Alex, smiling and carefree at 7 in the morning. They tracked her white Mini Cooper with its distinctive black roof. They interviewed friends, and that's when they discovered something that made this case far more complicated. In 2018, Alex had posted on social media about a stalker, someone following her every move. In 2019, she posted again, "Stop stalking my page, lovelies, unless I want you to. If you carry on, I'll post your antics for all to see." Was this connected? Investigators had to know. Meanwhile, they learned about Alex's secret work, the online profiles, the advertisements, and that led them to a name that would crack this case wide open. Mark Brown, 40 years old, construction worker, married, father of 1, living a double life nobody suspected. On November 25th, 2021, just 11 days after Alex vanished, Kent police arrested Mark Brown on suspicion of murder.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Alexandra Morgan. Okay? We believe that you were the last person that Alexandra Morgan seemed to be alive with. So we'll take you down to the police station and interview you about this incident, okay?
They descended on 3 locations in Hastings and St. Leonards-on-Sea, searching for evidence, searching for Alexandra. But here's where the story gets even darker. Because Mark Brown hadn't just ended Alexandra Morgan's life. He'd done this before. 6 months earlier, in fact. And someone knew about it. Someone who could have prevented Alex's death but chose to stay silent. That someone was Beth Brown's high school girlfriend, the woman he confided in. The woman who received chilling text messages from Brown just 5 days after he first met Alexandra. Messages that detailed exactly how to destroy evidence.
Right, this is long, but I said I would tell you, so I will. Now I'm going to be very careful how I word this, but it happened again, not very long ago, while disposing of something. I try to laugh these things off, but it's a very unpleasant thing to do. Old oil drum, 5 litres of diesel, hey presto, nothing much left.
It gets hot, extremely hot. It glows almost white. He signed off with words that still haunt everyone who reads them. The things I have done weigh heavily on my heart, on my head, and my soul. A psychopath with a conscience. It's a joke, really. Think about that for a moment. Brown confessed to a severe crime in writing to someone who did absolutely nothing. Beth read those messages and never contacted police, never warned anyone. And by the time Alexandra Morgan met Mark Brown on that dating website, Leah Ware, his first victim, had already been gone for a month. If Beth had spoken up, Alexandra would likely still be alive today. Many viewers watching cases like this struggle with the harsh truth. Should we judge the victims for the choices that put them in danger, or should we focus solely on the criminal who harmed them? It's a question that divides people to their core. Some argue that working in independent adult services is inherently risky, that both Leah and Alex were playing with fire. Others rightfully point out that no profession, no choice, no circumstance ever justifies violence. These women were mothers, daughters, friends, human beings who deserved safety and respect regardless of how they earned money. What's your take? Did their profession make them vulnerable, or does blaming their work choices miss the point entirely? Share your thoughts because this conversation matters. Let's rewind, because to understand how Alexandra died, we need to understand Leah Ware. Leah was 33, a mother of 3, though she didn't have custody. She loved animals, had a horse, 3 goats, 2 dogs. Her mother described her as an angel, really, someone who never cared much for school but adored her animals. Leah had struggled with chemical dependency and mental health issues, but she was fighting hard to get her children back. In March 2018, Leah connected with Mark Brown through the same website where he'd later find Alexandra. They started dating. By the end of that year, they were living together. When their apartment lease expired, Leah moved into Brown's property at Little Bridge Farm, living in a shipping container on the grounds. Brown described their relationship as a roller coaster, but he was in control. Always in control. Leah received weekly benefit payments into her bank account. Brown regularly withdrew the money for her. On May 7th, 2021, Leah spent the evening with a friend named Jack Tyler. They used substances together. There was a personal relationship between them. It was the last time anyone saw Leah alive. The last outgoing call from her phone, May 7th at 8 a.m. Police believe she passed away that day. But here's the thing, nobody reported her missing. Brown simply carried on. He collected her prescription medications. He withdrew money from her account using her new bank card, which conveniently arrived right around the time she disappeared. Every week, like clockwork, he'd take out £200, the maximum allowed per transaction. He did this over and over, draining her account from over £2,000 down to just $45. When questioned later about why he transferred money between her account and his, Brown said casually, "I probably used her £200, then replaced it. Someone owed me £430, so they probably paid me back." The prosecutor wasn't buying it. The reality is, the withdrawals had nothing to do with her and everything to do with you. Is it a coincidence she died after her new bank card arrived? Brown's response? I don't know what you're getting at because, as far as I'm aware, she's not dead. Except she was, and he knew it. Because 2 weeks after Leah vanished, Mark Brown went right back to that website, searching, hunting. On June 8th, 2021, exactly 1 month after Leah disappeared, Brown met Alexandra Morgan for the first time. Their first meeting happened at Alex's home in Sissinghurst, near Cranbrook. Everything went smoothly. Alex saw Brown as generous, reasonable, maybe even safe. She had no idea that the man sitting in her living room had taken a life just weeks earlier, had destroyed a woman's remains until almost nothing remained. They met again on June 21st at Little Bridge Farm, the property Brown rented for his meetings with women. Over the next few months, August and September, they met 7 more times. Brown was manipulating her, gaining her trust, making himself indispensable. Then, on October 23rd, Brown sent Alex a text message that changed everything. He offered her £100,000 for what he called a risk-free business transaction. The job? Stay at a hotel for 3 to 5 days, go out for cigarettes, bag up cash, buy some things. That's it. He'd provide a new ID, a clean car, shopping money, and someone to guard her. £100,000 for basically doing nothing. For a single mother struggling to make ends meet, this sounded like a miracle. Alex's internet search history after receiving that text tells you everything about her mindset. She wasn't looking for luxury vacations or designer clothes. She searched minimum deposit for a house 2021. She searched, how much can you earn running a sunbed shop UK? She searched, how much tax would I pay on £100,000? This was a woman thinking about her children's future, a woman dreaming of stability, a business of her own, a real home. She wanted to believe Mark Brown's offer was real. It wasn't. November 14th, 2021, Alex tells her parents she's going to a spa with friends. She leaves her children with them, promising to return in 3 days. At 7 a.m., Surveillance cameras capture her at that gas station in Cranbrook, looking happy and well-dressed. By 8 a.m., she arrives at Little Bridge Farm. She walks into Mark Brown's workshop, and she never walks out. Brown's story, the one he'd later tell police and repeat at trial, was that Alex slipped and fell, hit her head on some tool. There was a significant injury, he claimed. The scene was tragic. He grabbed a towel to stop the bleeding. When he moved her head, the situation worsened. He tried CPR, checked for a pulse, held a mirror to her nose and mouth. Nothing. She was gone, he said, passed away in minutes. An accident. But here's what doesn't add up. Brown never called for help, never dialed 999. Instead, within 5 minutes of this supposed accident, he's using jumpers to stop fluids from flowing under the workshop door. He's stepping outside because he became physically ill. He's retrieving his phone not to call emergency services, but to make a decision. I had a deceased woman on my workshop floor, Brown later testified. What would it look like? How would I prove she had an accident? It was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. So instead of calling police, Brown wrapped Alexandra's body in a sleeping bag, put a towel around her head, and then he did what he'd done before. What he'd confessed to Beth about in those horrifying text messages, he incinerated her. Using an industrial drum he'd fashioned into an incinerator earlier that year, Brown disposed of Alexandra's remains. He later told investigators he'd heard stories about people destroying evidence and didn't want anyone to find her dumped somewhere. Stories. As if he hadn't already done this exact thing to Leah Ware just months before. 3 days later, on November 17th, Brown moved Alexandra's car to Holmhurst Lane in St. Leonard's. He'd already switched out her license plate with a fake one, covering his tracks, buying time. That same day, Alexandra's mother went to police. Her daughter hadn't picked up the children, wasn't answering calls or texts. Something was terribly wrong. On November 23rd, investigators found CCTV footage showing Alexandra's white Mini Cooper following Brown's Jaguar toward Little Bridge Farm on the morning of November 14th. They blocked access to the farm, started asking questions. Brown admitted meeting with Alexandra, but he claimed she left after 45 minutes. Drove away. He offered to give fingerprints, DNA samples, anything to help. 2 days later, on November 25th, they arrested him anyway. And when they searched his farm, they found it. The incinerator, still containing forensic evidence, identifiable human remains. Laboratory analysis confirmed what everyone feared. These were Alexandra Morgan's remains. But the horror didn't end there, because during their search of Brown's property, police found something else in the pond. The remains of a small dog, a Pomeranian with weights tied to its collar. It was Leah's dog, Lady. Brown had ended the animal's life and disposed of it just like he'd disposed of Leah herself. Despite extensive searches lasting nearly a month, police never found Leah Ware's body. They believe Brown destroyed the evidence too, just like he later did to Alexandra. But on February 1st, 2022, they charged him with both murders anyway. During interrogation, Brown maintained his innocence regarding Leah. He insisted she was still alive somewhere. As for Alexandra, he stuck to his accident story.
And that you have killed her. Is that right?
No comment.
Have you killed Alexandra?
No comment.
Have you murdered her?
No comment.
Or have you killed her, but you don't think it's murder, it's something else?
No comment. No comment.
Do you slap or hit her in any way as part of
No comment.
grabbing around the neck?
No comment.
Did she do anything like that to you?
No comment.
But then investigators spoke with Brown's boss, Alan Downs, and Downs revealed something crucial. On November 24th, the day before Brown's arrest, Brown had warned him that police might be coming. When Downs asked what for, Brown replied, for a double murder. Double. Not single, not they think I killed someone, double murder. This was before police had publicly connected both cases. Before anyone except Brown knew there were two victims. When confronted with this at trial, Brown tried to backtrack. I said, I'm going away for 25 to life. I don't know where he got double from. I said I would be arrested for one murder. The prosecutor shut that down immediately. When asked, who have you killed? The answer should have been no one. Brown's response revealed everything. It should have been yes, but that's not what I thought was going to happen. I can't prove I didn't kill Alex, and I didn't think anyone would believe me. The trial began on October 17th, 2022. Over the following weeks, the jury of 10 men and 2 women heard gut-wrenching testimony from both families. They learned about Leah Ware, the animal lover who was fighting to regain custody of her children. They learned about Alexandra Morgan, the ambitious mother who wanted nothing more than to give her kids a better life. They also heard Brown attempt to, as prosecutors put it, blacken their names. He painted both women as troubled, unreliable, their profession somehow making them less credible, less worthy of justice. The jury saw through it. They heard evidence about the bank withdrawals, Brown systematically draining Leah's account after her death. They heard about the fake license plate on Alex's car, the incinerator with human remains, the confession to his boss about a double murder, those chilling messages to Beth describing exactly how to destroy a body. Rebecca Martin, Leah's mother, gave a victim impact statement that reduced the courtroom to tears. He continues to extend his cruelty to our family's life by not telling us what happened to her. She lost her life because Mark Brown wanted to gratify his dark motivations. He controlled and manipulated every aspect of her life, and then when he had had enough, he discarded her like a piece of dirt. Alexandra's parents described their daughter as bright and energetic with a determination to succeed. She had challenges, yes, but she was overcoming them. She had hopes, dreams, 2 children who adored her. On December 1st, 2022, the verdict came down. Guilty. On all counts, 2 murders. Mark Brown showed no emotion. Judge Nicholas Hilliard scheduled sentencing for January. He told Brown that if he revealed what he'd done with Leah's body, if he gave her family any closure at all, it would be taken into consideration. Brown refused. Even faced with life imprisonment, he wouldn't give Leah's mother the one thing she desperately needed, a chance to bury her daughter. On January 13th, 2023, Mark Brown received 2 life sentences. He won't be eligible for parole for 49 years. He'll be 90 years old. If he lives that long, Judge Hilliard delivered the sentence in Brown's absence. Brown had refused to attend, couldn't even face the families he destroyed. "No sentence I pass is any measure of the lives lost," the judge said. "Nothing can put right what the defendant has done. That is not possible. His conscience is untroubled by what he has done. But there's one person who has never been held accountable in all of this. Beth, the woman who received Brown's confession via text message. The woman who knew he'd taken a life before. The woman who could have saved Alexandra Morgan's life with a single phone call to police. She was never charged, never arrested, never faced any consequences for her silence. This infuriates people, and rightfully so. How does someone read a detailed description of murder and body disposal and do nothing? How does that not make you an accessory after the fact? A text message describing destroying evidence until there's not very much left isn't vague. It's not open to interpretation. Beth knew. And she stayed silent, and Alexandra paid with her life. Some argue the legal system failed by not pursuing charges against her. Others wonder if there simply wasn't enough evidence to prove she understood Brown was confessing to actual murder rather than speaking hypothetically. But most people watching this case agree on one thing. Morally, if not legally, Beth bears some responsibility. What do you think? Should Beth have been charged as an accessory? Could she have been prosecuted? Share your perspective, because this is the question that haunts everyone who learns about this case. 2 women, 2 mothers, both trying to survive in a world that wasn't always kind to them. Both made choices that some people judge harshly. But here's the truth that needs to be said loud and clear. Their profession didn't kill them. Their choices didn't kill them. Mark Brown killed them. He targeted vulnerable women. Women working in an industry that already puts them at risk. Women he knew would be harder to trace, easier to discredit. Women whose disappearances might not trigger immediate alarm bells. Leah lived in a shipping container on his property. Who would notice if she suddenly wasn't around? Alexandra told her parents she was going to a spa by the time they realized something was wrong. Crucial days had already passed. Brown calculated all of this. He wasn't some panicked man dealing with tragic accidents. He was a predator who found his hunting ground and exploited it twice. The debate about whether we should blame Leah and Alex for their profession misses the forest for the trees. Yes, independent work carries risks. Yes, meeting strangers can be dangerous. But millions of people meet strangers every day through dating apps, at bars, through work. The risk isn't the profession. The risk is the predator. And Mark Brown was exactly that. a predator hiding behind a construction job, a marriage, a veneer of normalcy. Today, Leah Ware's body has never been found. Her mother still doesn't have a grave to visit, still doesn't have closure, still wakes up every day knowing her daughter is somewhere lost forever and scattered by a man too cruel to give her peace. Alexandra Morgan's children are growing up without their mother. They'll never know the better life she was fighting so hard to give them. They'll never see her achieve those dreams she was searching for online. The house, the business, the stability. Mark Brown stole all of that. And he did it while someone who could have stopped him chose silence instead. This case teaches us something crucial. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a construction worker who helps around the house. Sometimes it wears a wedding ring and coaches Little League. Sometimes it sends polite text messages and buys you a car. Evil hides in plain sight, and it counts on our silence. Beth stayed silent, and a woman died. The question we all need to ask ourselves, if we saw something, would we speak up? Would we make that call? Would we risk being wrong to potentially save a life? Because in the end, that's what separates tragedy from prevention. Not luck, not chance, just one person willing to act. What would you do? Have you ever witnessed something suspicious but stayed quiet? Share your story below. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to find the courage to speak up.